Hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of Vintage NASCAR Owners, Richard Childress Racing, Part 2. Even though Childress lost both his flagship driver and his best friend, owning a NASCAR team is a business, and a business, sadly, doesn't slow down or care about feelings. So Childress went ahead and brought his Busch Series driver, nowadays Xfinity Series driver, that was supposed to just make select Cup Series starts for the team, in a third car, up to drive for the team full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series, though they switched the number to the number 29, the first available number that no other team had claimed in the 2001 Cup Series season. Harvick made the remaining 35 starts that was left in the season. His best start was third twice, at Darlington and Bristol in the spring, and his best finish was first twice, at Atlanta in the spring and then Chicagoland in the summer. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 2 wins, 6 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 9th in final Cup Series point standings. As for the number 31 team, Mike Skinner made the first 18 starts of the season before getting injured in a serious crash at the inaugural Chicagoland race, suffering a concussion and a broken ankle. Robbie Gordon came in and filled in for Skinner, but honestly struggled, not finishing better than 25th. Skinner would return at race 23 in Michigan, though it seemed he had lost a couple tenths on his driving abilities. When he returned to the team, they only kept him 5 races, until releasing him from his contract over a season early. In 23 starts, his best start was second at Bristol in the fall, and his best finish was 9th at Atlanta in the spring. In those 23 starts, he only scored 1 top 10. Robbie Gordon made 10 starts in that number 31 Lowe's Chevrolet. His best start was 4th at Watkins Glen in the summer, and his best finish was both the number 31 team and Robbie Gordon's first career Cup Series victory, which came at Loudon in the fall. Childress also started a third Cup Series team, the team that Harvick was supposed to drive for, the number 30 America Online Chevrolet. Jeff Green was behind the wheel, and he made 7 starts. His best start was first at Bristol in the fall, and his best finish was 17th at Michigan. Green also made 1 start in the number 31 at Homestead in the fall, starting and finishing 9th. Harvick also drove in the Xfinity Series full-time, driving the number 2 AC Delco Chevrolet for RCR full-time. Todd Berrier served as crew chief for Harvick in both Cup and Xfinity Series. Harvick's best start was first 6 times, at Bristol, Nashville, Loudon, and Charlotte in the spring, then Milwaukee in the summer, and Memphis in the fall. His best finish was first 5 times, at Texas in the spring, then Kentucky, Gateway, and IRP in the summer, and Bristol in the fall. Harvick and the number 2 team led the points for all but 6 weeks in the Xfinity Series season, on his way to the 2001 Xfinity Series Championship. The other Xfinity Series entry for RCR was the number 21 Rockwell Automation Chevrolet, that had Mike Dillon begin the season as the primary driver, though he was injured at Bristol in the spring in a crash, putting Dillon out for the season. Dillon's best start was 8th at Daytona in the spring, and his best finish was 18th at Las Vegas in the spring. Mike Skinner took over for 10 starts before he was injured, forcing him to miss 4 races. Then Jeff Purvis filled in for those 4 weeks, winning at Pikes Peak. Skinner returned for 4 more starts before he was let go by the team. His best start in 14 starts was first at Bristol in the spring, and his best finish was second at Chicagoland in the summer. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 6 top 5s, and 9 top 10s. Robbie Gordon made 3 starts in the number 21 Chevy. His best start was third twice at Watkins Glen in the summer, then Kansas in the fall. His best finish was 5th at Watkins Glen in the summer. For the 2002 NASCAR Cup Series season, RCR fielded 3 full-time NASCAR Cup Series teams. The number 29 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet with Kevin Harvick, his best start was first at Daytona in the summer, and his best finish was first at Chicagoland in the summer. Now in the spring at Martinsville, Harvick had to have Kenny Wallace fill in for him, finishing 31st. Really, this was a down season for the team. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 8 top 10s, finishing 21st in final Cup Series points. Gil Martin replaced Kevin Hamlin as the team's crew chief, starting at race 13 at Dover. Jeff Green was behind the wheel of the number 30 America Online Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 6th at Rockingham in the fall. His best finish was 2nd at Loudon in the summer. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 17th in final Cup Series points. Robbie Gordon returned to the number 31 Singular Wireless Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd twice at Bristol and Talladega in the spring. His best finish was 3rd at Watkins Glen in the summer. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 5 top 10s, finishing 20th in final Cup Series points. In the Xfinity Series, RCR had 2 full-time teams and a couple part-time teams. Johnny Sauter was the new driver of the number 2 AC Delco Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st at Talladega in the spring, and his best finish was 1st at Chicagoland in the summer. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 15th in final Xfinity Series points. 2000, Xfinity Series champion Jeff Green and Jay Sauter split the driving duties of the number 21 Rockwell Automations Chevrolet, with Green making 22 starts. His best start was 1st 5 times at both Rockingham races, then Texas and Dover in the spring, and Homestead in the fall. His best finish was 1st twice at Bristol and Charlotte in the spring. Overall, in 22 starts, Green scored 5 poles, 2 wins, 12 top 5s, and 16 top 10s. Jay Sauter made 12 starts in the number 21 Rockwell Automation Chevrolet. His best start was 2nd at Kentucky in the summer, and his best finish was 4th at Nashville in the spring. Overall, in 12 starts, Jay Sauter scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 4 top 10s. Kevin Harvick made 4 starts in the number 29 Sonic Chevrolet, with a best start and finish of 6th, both coming at Texas in the spring. Dale Earnhardt Jr. made 2 starts in the number 3 Oreo Chevrolet, best start of 4th and a best finish of 1st, both coming at Daytona in the spring. Richard Childress Racing had really began to grow, and that would continue into 2003, fielding 3 full-time Cup Series teams. The team's flagship team, the number 29 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, had Kevin Harvick return as the team's driver, with Todd Berry replacing Gil Martin as the team's crew chief starting at race 6 in Bristol. Harvick's best start was 1st, and his best finish was 1st, both coming at Indianapolis, winning the 2003 Brickyard 400. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 1 win, 11 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, finishing 5th in final Cup Series points. Jeff Green started the season behind the wheel of the number 30 America Online Chevrolet, but after only 11 starts, he was essentially traded to DEI for Steve Park. In 11 starts, Green's best start was 1st at Daytona in the spring, and his best finish was 7th at Texas in the spring. Steve Park made 24 starts in the number 30. His best start was 1st at Daytona in the summer, and his best finish was 5th at Michigan in the summer. Overall, in 24 starts, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 2 top 10s. Robbie Gordon returned to the number 31 Singular Wireless Chevrolet full-time, with Kevin Hamlin serving as the team's crew chief. Gordon's best start was 2nd at Sonoma in the summer, and his best finish was 1st twice at Sonoma and Watkins Glen in the summer. This would end up being Robbie Gordon's best statistical season in his Cup Series career. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 2 wins, 4 top 5s, and 10 top 10s, finishing 16th in final NASCAR Cup Series points. The team also fielded a number 90 Chevrolet for 2 starts. John Andretti made 1 start at Talladega in the fall, finishing 15th. Then Ron Hornaday Jr. made 1 start at Homestead in the fall, finishing 20th. Back down in the Xfinity Series, Ron Hornaday Jr. took over the driving duties of the number 2 AC Delco Chevrolet full-time, with Ricky Byers serving as the team's crew chief. Hornaday's best start was 2nd at Gateway in the spring, and his best finish was 1st at Nazareth in the spring. As the season went on, Hornaday got a better feel for the Xfinity cars, and their results improved. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 8 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Xfinity Series point standings. Kevin Harvick and Johnny Sauter shared the driving duties for the number 21 Payday Chevrolet in the Xfinity Series. Harvick made 18 starts. His best start was 1st 8 times at both Charlotte races, Fontana in the spring, Loudon in the summer, then Darlington, Richmond, Dover, and Phoenix in the fall. His best finish was 1st 3 times at Bristol and Richmond in the spring, then Michigan in the fall. Overall, in 18 starts, he scored 8 poles, 3 wins, 11 top 5s, and 17 top 10s. Johnny Sauter made 16 starts in the number 21. His best start was first, twice, at Nashville and Milwaukee in the summer. His best finish was second at Nashville in the spring. Overall, in 16 starts, Sauter scored 2 poles, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 7 top 10s. The number 21 team won the Xfinity Series Owners Championship. The number 29 Chevy was only ran once, at the season finale at Homestead, when Johnny Sauter drove it to a 12th place finish. NASCAR decided to try to make the championship more like other sports, adding the chase for the Cup, where they would have a form of playoffs, with an elimination-style format to determine their champion. An evolved version of this is still used today. Once again, RCR would field 3 full-time and 1 part-time teams in the NASCAR Cup Series for the 2004 season. Kevin Harvick would return to the number 29 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 5th twice, at Martinsville in the spring, then Phoenix in the fall. His best finish was 2nd at Talladega in the spring. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 14 top 10s, missing the chase, finishing 14th in final Cup Series points. In the number 30 America Online Chevrolet, Johnny Sauter began the season as a driver, making the first 13 starts, with a best start of 10th at Bristol in the spring, and his best finish was 14th twice at Rockingham and Talladega in the spring. Then the team replaced him with Dave Blaney, making 8 starts. His best start was 14th at Loudon in the summer, and his best finish was 15th twice at Michigan and Daytona in the summer. Then Jeff Burton came in after being released from Roush Racing and ran the remainder of the Cup Series season, 14 starts. His best start was 5th at Richmond in the fall, and his best finish was 4th at Bristol in the fall. Robbie Gordon returned to the number 31 Singular Wireless Chevrolet full-time for the 2004 season. Chris Anders served as the team's crew chief for the vast majority of the season until Gil Martin replaced him for the final 3 races of the season. Robbie Gordon's best start was 6th at Richmond in the spring, and his best finish was 4th at Darlington in the spring. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 23rd in final Cup Series point standings. Gordon and RCR parted ways at the conclusion of the season. The number 33 Chevrolet had 2 different drivers make starts in it. Mike Skinner made 1 start at Daytona in the spring, finishing 22nd, and Kerry Earnhardt made 3 starts. His best finish was 24th at Talladega in the fall. As for the Xfinity Series side of the team, they fielded 2 full-time teams and 1 part-time team. Ron Hornaday Jr. returned to the number 2 AC Delco Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd 3 times, at Daytona and Talladega in the spring, then Milwaukee in the summer. His best finish was 1st at Milwaukee in the summer. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 7 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 4th in final Xfinity Series points. Kevin Harvick made 20 starts in the number 21 Reese's Chevrolet. His best start was 3rd 4 times, at both Daytona races, California in the spring, then Michigan in the fall. His best finish was 1st at Las Vegas in the spring. Overall, in 20 starts, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 9 top 5s, and 14 top 10s. Also in the number 21 Reese's Chevrolet, Clint Bowyer made 14 starts. His best start was 1st at Talladega in the spring, and his best finish was 3rd at Nashville in the summer. Overall, in 14 starts, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 6 top 10s. Several different drivers made starts in the part-time number 29 ESGR Chevrolet. Bobby Labonte made 1 start at Texas in the spring, finishing 11th. Tony Stewart made 1 start at California in the spring, finishing 9th. Ricky Craven made 1 start at Chicagoland in the summer, finishing 11th. Kerry Earnhardt made 1 start at Dover in the fall, finishing 23rd. Brandon Miller made 1 start at Kansas in the fall, finishing 16th. Kevin Harvick, he made 2 starts. His best finish was 1st at Homestead in the fall. For the 2005 season, RCR still would have 3 full-time and 1 part-time NASCAR Cup Series teams. But starting this season, the number 30 team was renumbered to the 07. Dave Blaney was signed to drive the number 07 Jack Daniels Chevrolet full-time. Felipe Lopez served as the team's crew chief until race 23 at Michigan, when Scott Miller replaced him. Blaney's best start was 2nd at Bristol in the spring, and his best finish was 6th at Homestead in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 2 top 10 finishes, finishing 20th in final Cup Series point standings. Kevin Harvick returned to the number 29 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first, twice, at Talladega in the spring, then Richmond in the fall. His best finish was first at Bristol in the spring. Overall, he scored 2 poles, 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 10 top 10s, finishing 14th in final Cup Series points. Jeff Burton became the new driver full-time of the number 31 Singular Wireless Chevrolet. His best start was 6th at Daytona in the spring, and his best finish was 2nd at Bristol in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 3 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 18th in final Cup Series point standings. 3 drivers made starts behind the wheel of the number 33 Chevrolet. Dale Earnhardt made 3 starts. His best finish was 17th at Talladega in the spring. Clint Bowyer made 1 start at Phoenix in the spring, finishing 22nd. And Brian Semo made 1 start at Sonoma in the summer, finishing 10th. The Xfinity Series side of RCR fielded 2 full-time and 1 part-time teams. Clint Bowyer was behind the wheel of the number 2 AC Delco Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first twice at Pikes Peak in the summer, then California in the fall. His best finish was first twice at Nashville in the summer, then Memphis in the fall. Overall, he scored 2 poles, 2 wins, 12 top 5s, and 22 top 10s, finishing 2nd in final Xfinity Series point standings. Kevin Harvick made 20 starts in the number 21 Reese's Chevrolet. His best start was first twice at Daytona and Loudon in the summer. His best finish was first 3 times at Chicagoland in the summer, then Richmond and Texas in the fall. Overall, he scored 2 poles, 3 wins, 13 top 5s, and 14 top 10s. Development driver Brandon Miller ran all but 4 of the remaining starts, 11 of them. His best start was 2nd at Nashville in the summer, and his best finish was 6th at Gateway in the summer. Overall, in 11 starts, he scored 2 top 10s. Jeff Burton made the other 4 starts. His best start and finish was both 2nd, both coming at Bristol in the spring. In the number 29 Chevrolet, Kevin Harvick made 1 start at Bristol in the spring, starting 13th and finishing 1st. Jeff Burton also made 1 start at California in the fall, in the number 29, starting 21st and finishing 16th. In 2006, the team once again fielded 3 full-time cars in the Cup Series. Clint Bowyer in the number 07 Jack Daniels Chevrolet. His best start was 2nd at Indianapolis in the summer, and his best finish was 3rd at California in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 11 top 10s, finishing 17th in final Cup Series point standings, indeed missing the chase. Kevin Harvick returned to the number 29 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. His best start was 1st at Loudon in the fall, and his best finish was first 5 times at both Phoenix races, Watkins Glen in the summer, then at Richmond and Loudon in the fall. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 5 wins, 15 top 5s, and 20 top 10s, making the playoffs, finishing 4th in final points. Jeff Burton returned to the number 31 Singular Wireless Chevrolet. His best start was first 4 times, at Daytona in the spring, then Chicagoland and Indianapolis in the summer, and Michigan in the fall. His best finish was first at Dover in the fall. Overall, he scored 4 poles, 1 win, 7 top 5s, and 20 top 10s, finishing 7th in final Cup Series points. Scott Wimmer made 1 start at Homestead in the fall, in the number 33, finishing 12th. Now, in the Xfinity Series, Clint Bowyer once again was behind the wheel of the number 2 AC Delco Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first 3 times, at Martinsville in the summer, then California and Dover in the fall. His best finish was first at Dover in the fall. Overall, he scored 3 poles, 1 win, 12 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Xfinity Series points. Kevin Harvick made 31 starts in the number 21 U.S. Coast Guard Chevrolet. His best start was first 3 times, at Bristol and Dover in the spring, then Homestead in the fall. His best finish was first 9 times, at both Richmond races, then Nashville and Phoenix in the spring, Martinsville and IRP in the summer, then Kansas, Memphis, and Texas in the fall. Overall, in 30 starts, he scored 3 poles, 9 wins, 23 top 5s, and 30 top 10s, winning the 2006 Xfinity Series Championship. Jeff Burton made the 5 other starts in the number 21, and his best finish was first at Atlanta in the spring. Now, 3 other drivers made select starts in the part-time number 29 Chevrolet. Kevin Harvick made 1 start at Daytona in the spring, finishing 5th. Jeff Burton made 10 starts. His best start was first at Richmond in the fall, and his best finish was first at Dover in the spring. Timothy Peters made 1 start at Memphis in the fall, finishing 13th. The 2007 NASCAR Cup Series season was a pretty decent season for RCR. Clint Bowyer, driver of the number 07 Jack Daniels Chevrolet, had a breakout season. His best start was first, twice, at Darlington in the spring, then Loudon in the fall. His best finish was first at Loudon in the fall. This was Bowyer's first career Cup Series victory. Overall, he scored 2 poles, 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, making the playoffs, finishing an impressive 3rd and final Cup Series points. After having GM Goodwrench as their primary sponsor since the late 1980s, in 2007, Shell Pennzoil became the team's new primary sponsor. Harvick's best start was 3rd at Martinsville in the fall, and his best finish was 1st in the Daytona 500. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 4 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, making the playoffs, finishing 10th in final Cup Series point standings. Jeff Burton returned to the number 31 AT&T Mobility Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd, and his best finish was 1st, both coming at Texas in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 9 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, making the playoffs, finishing 8th in final Cup Series point standings. Scott Wimmer made 1 start in the number 33 Chevrolet at Indianapolis in the summer, finishing 31st. Back down in the Xfinity Series, Clint Bowyer made 21 starts in the number 2 BB&T Chevrolet. His best start was 1st at Phoenix in the fall, and his best finish was 1st twice at Richmond and Phoenix in the spring. Overall, in 21 starts, he scored 1 pole, 2 wins, 12 top 5s, and 18 top 10s. Then Kenny Wallace made 1 start at Gateway, finishing 34th. The number 21 Chevrolet had several drivers make starts in it. Kevin Harvick made 14 starts. His best start was 1st twice at Las Vegas in the spring and then Loudon in the summer. His best finish was 1st 6 times at Daytona in the spring, then Loudon, Chicagoland, and Montreal in the summer. Then Watkins Glen in Texas in the fall. Timothy Peters, he made 7 starts. His best finish was 13th at Phoenix in the spring. P.J. Jones made 1 start at Mexico City, finishing 24th. Scott Wimmer made 6 starts. His best finish was 3rd at Dover in the spring. Tim McCready made 6 starts also. His best finish was 12th at IRP in the summer. Clint Bowyer made 1 start at California in the fall, finishing 5th. The number 29 Holiday Inn Chevrolet was full-time this season, but the driving duties were split between 2 different drivers. Scott Wimmer made 16 starts, was 1st at Gateway in the summer. His best finish was 2nd twice at Milwaukee and Gateway in the summer. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. Jeff Burton made 19 starts. His best start was 3rd twice at California in the spring and Bristol in the fall. His best finish was 1st 5 times at Las Vegas and Atlanta in the spring, then California, Charlotte, and Homestead in the fall. Overall, in 19 starts, he scored 0 poles, 5 wins, 12 top 5s, and 17 top 10s. And with the 2 drivers between them, able to win the Owners championship. After the RCR team had a strong season all the way across the board the season prior, in 2008, they set out to do the same thing. The team fielded 3 full-time and 1 part-time teams in the NASCAR Cup Series that season. Kevin Harvick, behind the wheel of the number 29 Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet, his best start was 3rd at Loudon in the summer, and his best finish was 2nd twice at Bristol in the spring, then Homestead in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 7 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, making the playoffs, finishing 4th in final Cup Series points. Jeff Burton returned to the number 31 AT&T Mobility Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd twice at Michigan in the spring, then Martinsville in the fall. His best finish was 1st twice at Bristol in the spring, then Charlotte in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 2 wins, 7 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, making the playoffs, finishing 6th in final Cup Series point standings. Clint Bowyer was behind the wheel of the number 07 Jack Daniels Chevrolet full-time once again. His best start was 3rd 3 times, at California and Bristol in the spring, then Texas in the fall. His best finish was 1st at Richmond in the spring. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 7 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, making the playoffs, finishing a solid 5th in final Cup Series point standings. 2 different drivers made a start apiece in the number 33 Chevrolet. Ken Schrader made a start at Charlotte in the spring, in the Coca-Cola 600, finishing 33rd. Mike Wallace made a start at Talladega in the fall, finishing 30th. The Xfinity Series side of the team had 2 full-time entries and 1 part-time entry that season. Clint Bowyer was in the number 2 BB&T Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd 5 times, at Daytona, Texas, and Darlington in the spring, Loudon in the summer, then Richmond in the fall. His best finish was 1st at Bristol in the spring. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 14 top 5s, and 29 top 10s, winning the 2008 Xfinity Series Championship. Bobby Labonte made 5 starts in the number 21 Chevrolet. His best finish was 4th at Texas in the spring. Stephen Leicht made 5 starts. His best finish was 7th at Phoenix in the spring. Austin Dillon made 2 starts. His best finish was 4th at Memphis in the fall. Scott Wimmer made 1 start at Homestead in the fall, finishing 6th. The number 29 Holiday Inn Chevrolet was driven by 2 drivers throughout the season. Scott Wimmer made 22 starts. His best start was 1st at Bristol in the spring, and his best finish was 1st at Nashville in the spring. Overall, in 22 starts, he scored 1 pole, 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 12 top 10s. Jeff Burton made 13 starts in the number 29. His best start was 1st twice at California and Atlanta in the spring. His best finish was 2nd twice at Texas in the spring, and then Charlotte in the fall. Overall, in 13 starts, he scored 2 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 7 top 10s. That following season, in 2009, RCR again had 4 full-time NASCAR Cup Series teams. It was an off year all the way around for the team. No one on the team made the playoffs. Casey Mears took over the number 07 Jack Daniels Chevrolet full-time in 2009. His best start was 6th at Martinsville, and his best finish was 6th at Michigan in the fall. The team did not qualify for the playoffs in 2009, and due to low performance, went through 3 different crew chiefs throughout the season. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 4 top 10s, finishing 21st in final Cup Series point standings. Kevin Harvick was behind the wheel of the number 29 Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 6th at Homestead in the fall, and his best finish was 2nd twice at Daytona in the spring, then Atlanta in the fall. This was a horrible season by the team's standards. I mean, they missed the playoffs by a mile, dropping as low as 26th in points in mid-season. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 9 top 10s, finishing the season 19th in final Cup Series points. Jeff Burton returned to the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. Scott Miller served as the team's crew chief until race 33 at Talladega, where Todd Berrier replaced Miller. Of those final 4 starts in which Berrier was crew chief, Burton finished in the top 5 3 of those times and in the top 10 all 4 times. His best start was 5th at Richmond in the spring, and his best finish was 2nd twice at Phoenix and Homestead in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 10 top 10s, finishing 17th in final Cup Series points. Clint Bowyer changed numbers to the number 33 Cheerios Chevrolet full-time. Shane Wilson served as the team's crew chief. His best start was 3rd at Martinsville in the spring, and his best finish was 2nd at Las Vegas in the spring. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 15th in final Cup Series point standings. In the Xfinity Series, the team had 1 full-time team and 1 part-time team. The number 29 Holiday Inn Chevrolet had 4 different drivers make starts in it. Clint Bowyer made 12 starts. His best start was 1st at Daytona in the summer. His best finish was 1st twice at Daytona in the summer, then Dover in the fall. Jeff Burton made 13 starts as well. His best finish was third at Homestead in the fall. Stephen Light made 10 starts, his best finish being 6th twice, at Nashville in the spring, then Gateway in the fall. Casey Mears made 1 start at Texas in the fall, finishing 2nd. In the Craftsman Truck Series, Austin Dillon, Richard Childress' grandson, made his debut driving a number 3 Chevrolet. His best finish was 12th at Iowa in the summer. Tim George Jr. made 1 start in the number 22 Chevrolet at Phoenix in the fall, finishing 29th. Yet another brand new decade this team is starting, the 2010s. 2010, the RCR team fielded 3 full-time NASCAR Cup Series teams, which have become the usual at this point. Kevin Harvick returned to the number 29 Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first twice, at Martinsville in the spring, then Daytona in the summer. His best finish was first 3 times, Talladega in the spring, Daytona in the summer, and Michigan in the fall. This season, the team rebounded nicely, even leading the points for 20 weeks throughout the season. They easily made the playoffs. Gil Martin served as Kevin Harvick's crew chief for 2010. Overall, he scored 2 poles, 3 wins, 16 top 5s, and 26 top 10s, finishing a solid 3rd in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Jeff Burton returned to the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 5th twice, at Michigan in the spring and Talladega in the fall. His best finish was 2nd twice, both races at Dover. Todd Berrier served as Burton's crew chief in 2010. He did make the playoffs, finishing 12th in final Cup Series points. Clint Bowyer returned to the number 33 Cheerios Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd 3 times, at Pocono in the spring, Loudon and Talladega in the fall. His best finish was 1st twice, at Loudon and Talladega in the fall. Shane Wilson again served as Bowyer's crew chief in 2010. Bowyer did make the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 2 wins, 7 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, finishing 10th in final Cup Series points. The Xfinity Series side of the team really paled in comparison with the team's Xfinity operation just a couple seasons prior, when they were a championship-winning team. Now they didn't even have a full-time operation on the track. The season began with the intentions of the number 21 Chevrolet running full-time, with driver John Wes Townley, with sponsorship from Zaxby's. But in April, Townley was pulled from the car after getting charged with possession of alcohol as a minor. After this, Zaxby's cut back their sponsorship to only 21 out of the 35 races of the season. His best finish was 15th at Las Vegas in the spring. Clint Bowyer came in and took over the number 21 for Townley, replacing him, making 13 starts throughout the remainder of the 2010 Xfinity Series season. His best start was 1st twice at both Charlotte races. His best finish was 5th at Charlotte in the fall. Scott Riggs made 2 starts. His best finish was 9th twice at Nashville and Kentucky in the spring. Tim George Jr. made 1 start at Road America, finishing 32nd. Austin Dillon made 1 start at Loudon in the summer, finishing 25th. RCR emerged to the number 21 with Morgan Shepherd's Shepherd Racing Ventures for the second half of the season. So Morgan Shepherd made 13 starts in the number 21, with a best finish of 18th at Gateway in the fall. Dale Earnhardt Jr. made 1 start in a number 3 Wrangler Chevrolet at Daytona in the summer, finishing 1st. In the Craftsman Truck Series, Austin Dillon was behind the wheel of the number 3 Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet Silverado, full-time. His best start was 1st 7 times at Texas, Michigan, and Iowa in the spring, Kentucky in the summer, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Homestead in the fall. His best finish was 1st twice at Iowa in the spring and Las Vegas in the fall. Overall, he scored 7 poles, 2 wins, 7 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 5th in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings, as well as winning the Series Rookie of the Year honors. Tim George Jr. made 1 start in a number 22 Chevrolet at Phoenix in the fall, once again, finishing 23rd. Once again in 2011, RCR fielded 4 full-time cars. Kevin Harvick got a new primary sponsor, the number 29 Budweiser Chevrolet, full-time. His best start was 5th at Martinsville in the fall. His best finish was first 4 times at California, Martinsville, and Charlotte in the spring, then Richmond in the fall. The team easily made the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 4 wins, 9 top 5s, and 19 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Cup Series point standings. Jeff Burton returned to the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 4th at Daytona in the spring, and his best finish was 2nd at Talladega in the fall. Luke Lambert replaced Todd Berrier at race 20 at Indianapolis as crew chief of the team. The team had a pretty bad season and missed the playoffs by a long shot. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 5 top 10s, finishing 20th in final Cup Series point standings. Clint Bowyer returned to the number 33 Cheerios Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd at Atlanta in the fall, and his best finish was 1st at Talladega in the fall. The team just missed the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 4 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 13th in final Cup Series point standings. The team formed a 4th full-time entry, the number 27 Menard Chevrolet, with Paul Menard driving. His best start was 2nd twice, at Pocono in the spring and then Chicagoland in the fall. His best finish was 1st at Indianapolis in the summer. This was his first and what turned out to be his only career Cup Series victory. They did miss the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 4 top 5s, and 8 top 10s, finishing 17th in final Cup Series point standings. Slugger Labbe served as the team's crew chief. Austin Dillon made 1 NASCAR Cup Series start, driving a number 98 Camping World Chevrolet at Kansas in the fall, finishing 26th. In the Xfinity Series, the team only had 1 part-time entry, the number 21 Appleby Chevrolet, with Tim George Jr. behind the wheel. His best finish was 21st twice, at Daytona and Watkins Glen in the summer. In the Craftsman Truck Series, RCR fielded 2 entries. The number 3 Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet for Austin Dillon full-time. His best start was 1st 5 times, at Daytona and Kansas in the spring, then Nashville and IRP in the summer, and Kentucky in the fall. His best finish was 1st twice, at Nashville and Chicagoland in the summer. Overall, he scored 5 poles, 2 wins, 10 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, winning the 2011 Craftsman Truck Series Championship. The second entry was the number 22 Chevrolet, with Joey Coulter full-time. His best finish was 5th 5 times, at Kansas, Texas, and Iowa in the spring, then Martinsville and Homestead in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 7th in final Craftsman Truck Series points. At the conclusion of the previous season, Clint Bowyer parted ways with RCR, moving on to drive the number 15 5-Hour Energy Toyota for Michael Waltrip Racing. The 2012 NASCAR Cup Series season saw RCR start the season with 3 full-time entries and 1 part-time entry. Paul Menard returned to the number 27 Menard Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 3rd twice at both Pocono races. His best finish was 3rd at Kansas in the fall. They did not quite make the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 9 top 10s, finishing 16th in final NASCAR Cup Series points. Kevin Harvick returned to the number 29 Budweiser Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd 3 times, at Martinsville and Kansas in the spring, then Michigan in the summer. His best finish was 1st at Phoenix in the fall. They made the playoffs this season, overall scoring 0 poles, 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 14 top 10s, finishing 8th in final Cup Series point standings. Jeff Burton returned to the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 4th at Martinsville in the fall, and his best finish was 2nd at Daytona in the summer. Drew Blickensderfer served as the team's crew chief. They did not make the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 19th in final Cup Series point standings. Several drivers made starts in the team's number 33 Chevrolet. Elliott Sadler made 1 start at Daytona in the spring, finishing 27th. Brendan Gaughan made 4 starts. His best finish was 22nd at Bristol in the spring. Hermie Sadler made 1 start at Martinsville in the spring, finishing 31st. Austin Dillon made 1 start at Michigan in the summer, finishing 24th. In the Xfinity Series, Richard Childress Racing fielded 2 full-time entries and 1 part-time entry. Childress moved his grandson, Austin Dillon, up to the Xfinity Series full-time, continuing his climb up the competition ladder in NASCAR, series by series. Elliott Sadler was behind the wheel of the newly acquired from what used to be Kevin Harvick Incorporated, the number 2 One Main Financial Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first, 4 times, both races at Iowa, Las Vegas in the spring, and Charlotte in the fall. His best finish was first, 4 times, also, at Phoenix and Bristol in the spring, then Chicagoland and Iowa in the summer. Overall, he scored 4 poles, 4 wins, 15 top 5s, and 24 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Xfinity Series owner points. Austin Dillon was behind the wheel of the number 3 Advocare Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first 3 times, at both Kentucky races, then Michigan in the summer. His best finish was first twice, at both Kentucky races. Overall, he scored 3 poles, 2 wins, 16 top 5s, and 27 top 10s, finishing 4th in final Xfinity Series points. The number 21 Chevrolet had Tim George Jr. behind the wheel. He made 2 starts. His best finish was 21st at Daytona in the summer. Several drivers made starts behind the wheel of the team's number 33 Chevrolet. Tony Stewart made 1 start at Daytona in the spring, finishing 8th. Kevin Harvick made 13 starts. His best start was first at Richmond in the spring, and his best finish was first twice at Richmond and Texas in the fall. Brendan Gaughan made 10 starts. His best finish was 3rd twice at Kentucky and Homestead in the fall. Paul Menard made 7 starts. His best start was first at Texas in the spring, and his best finish was 2nd at Dover in the fall. Ty Dillon made 1 start at Dover in the spring, finishing 7th. Max Pappas made 1 start at Road America, finishing 4th. In the Craftsman Truck Series, the team had 2 full-time teams and 1 part-time entry. With Austin Dillon moving up to the Xfinity Series, it made room for his younger brother, Ty Dillon, to take over the number 3 Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first 3 times, at Charlotte in the spring, Atlanta in the summer, and Talladega in the fall. His best finish was first at Atlanta in the summer. Overall, he scored 3 poles, 1 win, 7 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, finishing 4th in final Craftsman Truck Series points. Joby Coulter returned to the number 22 Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first 3 times, at Michigan in the summer, then Kentucky and Las Vegas in the fall. His best finish was first at Pocono in the summer. Overall, he scored 3 poles, 1 win, 8 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, finishing a solid 3rd in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. 3 different drivers made starts in the number 2 Applebee's Chevrolet. Tim George Jr. made 11 starts. His best start was first at Kansas in the spring, and his best finish was 9th at Talladega in the fall. Brendan Gaughan made 8 starts. His best finish was 2nd at Chicagoland in the summer. Kevin Harvick made 3 starts. His best start was first twice at Martinsville and Dover in the spring, and his best finish was first at Martinsville in the spring. Overall, the number 2 Chevrolet scored 3 poles, 1 win, 6 top 5s, and 7 top 10s. Things didn't change all that much for the 2013 NASCAR Cup Series season. Again, the team would field 3 full-time entries and 1 part-time entry. Paul Menard returned to the number 27 Menard Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 4th twice, at Michigan in the summer, then Texas in the fall. His best finish was 4th twice, at Michigan and Talladega in the fall. They didn't make the playoffs again this season, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 3 top 5s, and 9 top 10s, finishing 17th in final Cup Series point standings. Kevin Harvick returned to the number 29 Budweiser Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first at Kansas in the fall, and his best finish was first 4 times, at Richmond and Charlotte in the spring, then Kansas and Phoenix in the fall. They easily made the playoffs, overall scoring 1 pole, 4 wins, 9 top 5s, and 21 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Cup Series point standings. Jeff Burton returned to the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd at Talladega in the fall, and his best finish was 3rd at Loudon in the summer. They missed the playoffs. Luke Lambert served as the number 31 team's crew chief, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 20th in final Cup Series points. Austin Dillon made 5 starts in the number 33 Chevrolet. His best start was 7th, and his best finish was 11th, both coming at Michigan in the spring. Brian Scott made 1 start at Charlotte in the fall, finishing 27th. In the Xfinity Series, the team fielded 3 full-time and 1 part-time entry. Brian Scott became the new driver of the number 2 Shore Lodge Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st at Richmond in the fall, and his best finish was 2nd twice, at Indianapolis in the summer and Richmond in the fall. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 3 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 11th in final Xfinity Series points. Austin Dillon returned to the number 3 Advocare Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st 7 times, including 6 out of 7 races from late spring through summer. Charlotte, Dover, Iowa, and Michigan in the spring, Kentucky and Daytona in the summer, then Kansas in the fall. His best finish was 2nd 3 times, at Iowa in the spring, then Kentucky and Charlotte in the fall. Overall, he scored 7 poles, 0 wins, 13 top 5s, and 22 top 10s, winning the 2013 Xfinity Series Championship. 9 different drivers made starts behind the wheel of the number 33 Menard Chevrolet. Tony Stewart made 1 start at Daytona in the spring, finishing 1st. Kevin Harvick made 11 starts, with a best finish of 1st at Atlanta in the fall. Overall, in 11 starts, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 9 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. Ty Dillon made 9 starts. His best finish was 7th, scoring 1 top 10 in 7 starts. Dakota Armstrong made 1 start at California in the spring, finishing 15th. Max Pappas made 3 starts, with a best finish of 4th at Mid-Ohio. Paul Menard made 4 starts, with a best finish of 2nd at Kansas in the fall. Overall, he scored 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. Matt Crafton made 3 starts. His best finish was 3rd twice at both Kentucky races. Overall, he scored 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s in those 3 starts. Ryan Gifford made 1 start at Iowa in the fall, finishing 9th. Brendan Gaughan, he also made 1 start at Watkins Glen, finishing 14th. Overall, number 33 team scored 0 poles, 2 wins, 11 top 5s, and 14 top 10s, finishing 5th in final Xfinity Series owner points. 3 different drivers made starts behind the wheel of the number 21 Chevrolet. Brendan Gaughan made 2 starts. His best finish was 11th at Road America in the summer. Dakota Armstrong made 4 starts. His best finish was 13th at Kentucky in the fall. Kevin Harvick made 1 start at Indianapolis, finishing 5th. In the Craftsman Truck Series, the team had 2 full-time entries and 1 part-time entry on the racetrack in 2013. Ty Dillon returned to the number 3 Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st at Las Vegas in the fall, and his best finish was 1st twice at Kentucky in the spring and Texas in the fall. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 2 wins, 9 top 5s, and 12 top 10s, finishing 2nd in final Craftsman Truck Series points. Brendan Gaughan was behind the wheel of the number 62 South Point Casino Chevrolet full-time. His best finish was 2nd twice at Charlotte in the spring and Martinsville in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 10 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 7th in final Craftsman Truck Series points. Austin Dillon made 1 start at Eldora, finishing 1st in the number 39 Chevrolet. At the conclusion of the 2013 season, both Kevin Harvick and Jeff Burton parted ways with RCR. At the Cup Series level, RCR went through a few big changes this season. They fielded 3 full-time teams and 1 part-time team. The last leg of Austin Dillon's climb up the NASCAR ladder came in 2014, when he brought the number 3 back to the Cup Series for the first time since Dale Earnhardt's final start at Daytona in 2001. Dillon was behind the wheel of the number 3 Dow Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st at Daytona in the spring. His best finish was 5th at Daytona in the summer. Gil Martin served as Dillon's crew chief. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 4 top 10s, missing the playoffs, finishing 20th in final Cup Series points. Paul Menard returned to the number 27 Menard Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd at Talladega in the spring, and his best finish was 3rd at Las Vegas in the spring. The team did not make the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 21st in final Cup Series point standings. The new driver of the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet was Ryan Newman, full-time. His best start was second at Chicagoland in the fall. His best finish was second at Homestead in the fall. Luke Lambert served as his crew chief. Without winning a single race, Newman nearly won the Cup Series championship, coming up just 1 spot short at Homestead. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing second in final Cup Series point standings. 2 different drivers made starts in the number 33 Chevrolet. Brian Scott made 6 starts. His best start was first at Talladega in the spring. His best finish was 25th at Daytona in the spring. Ty Dillon made 2 starts. His best finish was 25th at Atlanta in the fall. The Xfinity Series side of RCR had 3 full-time teams and 1 part-time team. Brian Scott returned to the number 2 Shore Lodge Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first 3 times at both Chicagoland races, then Richmond in the spring. His best finish was second in Kentucky in the fall. Phil Gould served as his crew chief in 2014. Overall, he scored 3 poles, 0 wins, 6 top 5s, and 23 top 10s, finishing 4th in final Xfinity Series points. Ty Dillon took over the number 3 after his brother Austin moved up to the Cup Series. So, the number 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet was driven by Ty Dillon full-time. His best start was first 3 times at Las Vegas in the spring, then Kentucky and Kansas in the fall. His best finish was first at Indianapolis in the summer. Danny Stockman Jr. served as his crew chief for the 2014 season. Overall, he scored 3 poles, 1 win, 7 top 5s, and 24 top 10s, finishing 5th in final Xfinity Series points. Brendan Gaughan was behind the wheel of the number 62 South Point Casino Chevrolet full-time. His best start was third at Kentucky in the fall, and his best finish was first twice at Elkhart Lake in the spring, then Kentucky in the fall. Shane Wilson served as Gaughan's crew chief for the 2014 season. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 2 wins, 2 top 5s, and 7 top 10s, finishing 8th in final Xfinity Series points. 4 different drivers made starts in the number 33 Chevrolet. Matt Crafton made 1 start at Las Vegas in the spring, finishing 12th. Kel Conley made 11 starts. His best finish was 6th at Kentucky in the fall. Overall, in 11 starts, he scored 1 top 10. Paul Menard made 8 starts. His best finish was 1st at Michigan in the spring. Overall, in 8 starts, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 5 top 10s. Austin Dillon made 1 start at Texas in the fall, finishing 7th. In the Craftsman Truck Series, the team only had 2 part-time entries. Austin Dillon made 1 start in the number 2 American Ethanol Chevrolet at Eldora in the summer, finishing 10th. In the number 3 Chevrolet, 2 different drivers made a start apiece. Ty Dillon made 1 start at Eldora, finishing 5th, and Austin Dillon made 1 start the following week at Pocono in the summer, finishing 1st. The following season, in 2015, RCR again had 3 full-time teams and 1 part-time team in the NASCAR Cup Series. Austin Dillon returned to the number 3 Dow Chevrolet full-time. His best start was second at Daytona in the summer, and his best finish was 4th at Michigan in the fall. Slugger Labbe replaced Gil Martin as the team's crew chief starting at race 16 at Sonoma. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 5 top 10s, missing the playoffs, finishing 21st in final Cup Series point standings. Paul Menard returned to the number 27 Menard Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 4th at Daytona in the summer. His best finish was 3rd at Talladega in the spring. Justin Alexander served as Menard's crew chief for 2015. Menard did make the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 5 top 10s, finishing 14th in final Cup Series points. Ryan Newman returned to the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd at Martinsville in the spring, and his best finish was 3rd twice at Las Vegas and Phoenix in the spring. They did make the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, finishing 11th in final Cup Series point standings. 2 different drivers made starts behind the wheel of the number 33 Chevrolet. Ty Dillon made 5 starts. His best finish was 14th at Michigan in the summer. Brian Scott made 10 starts. His best finish was 12th at Kansas in the fall. Back down in the Xfinity Series, the team had 4 full-time entries. Brian Scott returned to the number 2 Shore Lodge Chevrolet full-time. His best start was second 6 times at Atlanta, Las Vegas, California, and Michigan in the spring, Daytona in the summer, then Kentucky in the fall. His best finish was second at Talladega in the spring. Mike Hillman Jr. served as Scott's crew chief in 2015. Overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 6 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, finishing 8th in final Xfinity Series points. Ty Dillon returned to the number 3 Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet full-time. His best start was second twice, at Talladega in the spring and Kentucky in the summer. Nick Harrison replaced Denny Stockman Jr. as Dillon's crew chief for 2015. Overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 12 top 5s, and 25 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Xfinity Series points. Brendan Gaughan returned to the number 62 South Point Casino Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 3rd twice at Kentucky and Iowa in the summer. His best finish was 2nd at California in the spring. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 3 top 5s, and 14 top 10s, finishing 9th in final Xfinity Series points. 3 different drivers made starts behind the wheel of the number 33 Chevrolet. Austin Dillon made 20 starts. His best start was first 6 times at both Charlotte races, Daytona, Las Vegas, and Talladega in the spring, Chicagoland in the summer. His best finish was first 4 times at both Charlotte races, Las Vegas in the spring, and Daytona in the summer. Overall, in 20 starts, he scored 6 poles, 4 wins, 13 top 5s, and 16 top 10s. Paul Menard made 8 starts. His best finish was first at Road America in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 6 top 10s. Brandon Jones made 5 starts. His best finish was 5th at Kentucky in the fall. Overall, the 33 team scored 6 poles, 5 wins, 17 top 5s, and 24 top 10s, finishing 4th in Xfinity Series owner points. NASCAR made the playoffs an elimination-style format for each series in 2016. RCR had 3 full-time entries in the NASCAR Cup Series. Austin Dillon returned to the number 3 Dow Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first, twice, at California in the spring and Texas in the fall. His best finish was 3rd at Talladega in the spring. They did make the playoffs, overall scoring 2 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 14th in final NASCAR Cup Series points. Paul Menard returned to the number 27 Menard Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 3rd at Pocono in the summer. His best finish was 8th at Martinsville in the spring. They did not qualify for the playoffs in 2016. Overall, they scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 3 top 10s, finishing a distant 25th in final Cup Series points. Ryan Newman returned to the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 3rd twice at Loudon and Homestead in the fall. His best finish was 3rd at Kentucky in the summer. Newman missed the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 10 top 10s, finishing 18th in final Cup Series points. In the Xfinity Series, the team fielded 4 full-time entries. 6 different drivers made starts in the number 2 Chevrolet. Austin Dillon made 19 starts. His best start was first at Richmond in the fall. His best finish was first twice at California in the spring and Bristol in the fall. Overall, in 19 starts, he scored 1 pole, 2 wins, 10 top 5s, and 16 top 10s. Paul Menard made 8 starts. His best finish was 2nd at Watkins Glen in the summer. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 6 top 10s. Ben Kennedy made 1 start at Iowa in the summer, finishing 10th. Sam Hornish Jr. made 3 starts. His best start was first at Mid-Ohio in the fall. His best finish was 2nd, also at Mid-Ohio in the fall. Overall, in 3 starts, he scored 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. Michael McDowell made 1 start at Road America in the fall, finishing 1st. Regan Smith, he also made 1 start at Dover in the fall, finishing 13th. Ty Dillon, he returned to the number 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet full-time. His best start was first at Daytona in the spring. His best finish was 2nd, 5 times, at both Iowa races, Richmond in the spring, then Dover and Homestead in the fall. He did make the playoffs, overall scoring 1 pole, 0 wins, 9 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, finishing 5th in final Xfinity Series points. Brandon Jones became the new full-time driver of the number 33 Menard Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 4th at Bristol in the fall. His best finish was 6th at Las Vegas in the spring. Jones did make the playoffs. Mike Hillman Jr. served as Jones' crew chief for 2016. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 12 top 10s, finishing 10th in final Xfinity Series points. Brendan Gaughan returned to the number 62 South Point Casino Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 6th, twice, at Daytona and Talladega in the spring. His best finish was 2nd at Elkhart Lake in the fall. Gaughan did in fact qualify for the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 12th in final Xfinity Series points. Once again, RCR fielded 3 full-time entries in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2017. Austin Dillon returned to the number 3 Dow Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 9th, twice, at Dover in the spring and Chicagoland in the fall. His best finish was 1st at Charlotte in the spring. Justin Alexander replaced Slugger Labbe at race 12 at Charlotte, and the team went to victory lane that very same weekend, with Austin Dillon scoring his first career Cup Series victory in the Coca-Cola 600. They missed the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 4 top 10s, finishing 20th in final Cup Series points. Paul Menard returned to the number 27 Menard Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 9th at Talladega in the spring. His best finish was 3rd at Daytona in the summer. Matt Borland served as Menard's crew chief for the 2017 season. They indeed did miss the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 3 top 10s, finishing 23rd in final Cup Series points. Ryan Newman returned to the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd at Atlanta in the spring. His best finish was 1st at Phoenix in the spring. They did qualify for the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 1 win, 7 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 16th in final Cup Series points. As far as the Xfinity Series side of the team, RCR ran 5 full-time entries in 2017. 3 different drivers made starts behind the wheel of the number 2 Chevrolet. Austin Dillon made 17 starts. His best finish was 3rd twice, at Daytona and Charlotte in the spring. Overall, in 17 starts, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 7 top 5s, and 13 top 10s. Paul Menard made 7 starts. His best finish was 2nd at Indianapolis in the summer, overall scoring 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. Ben Kennedy made 9 starts. His best finish was 4th at Talladega in the spring. Overall, in 9 starts, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 2 top 10s. Overall, the number 2 team scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 10 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, finishing 10th in final Xfinity Series owner points. 3 different drivers also made starts in the number 3 Bass Pro Shops Rheem Chevrolet. Ty Dillon made the majority starts, being 27. His best finish was 3rd at Richmond in the fall. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 3 top 5s, and 16 top 10s. Scott Lagasse Jr. made 4 starts. His best finish was 21st at Homestead in the fall. Brian Scott made 2 starts. His best finish was 3rd at Iowa in the summer. Overall, in 2 starts, he scored 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s. So overall, the number 3 team scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, finishing 11th in final Xfinity Series owner points. Daniel Hemrick became the driver of the number 21 Blue Gate Bank Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st at Richmond in the spring, and his best finish was 2nd at Mid-Ohio in the summer. Randall Burnett replaced Danny Stockman Jr., starting at race 29 at Charlotte. They did make the playoffs. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 7 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 4th in final Xfinity Series points. Brandon Jones returned to the number 33 Menard Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st at Daytona in the spring. His best finish was 9th at Michigan in the spring. They did not make the playoffs, overall scoring 1 pole, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 1 top 10, finishing 15th in final Xfinity Series points. Brendan Gaughan returned to the number 62 South Point Casino Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 9th twice, at Atlanta in the spring and Daytona in the summer. His best finish was 5th twice, at Daytona in the spring and Elkhart Lake in the fall. Gaughan did qualify for the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 8 top 10s, finishing 10th in final Xfinity Series points. At the conclusion of the season, Paul Menard, Brandon Jones, and Brendan Gaughan all parted ways with RCR. Richard Childress decided to scale things back a bit for the 2018 season. In the NASCAR Cup Series, they fielded 2 full-time entries and 1 part-time entry. Austin Dillon returned to the number 3 Dow Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 5th twice, at California in the spring and Michigan in the fall. His best finish was 1st, the 2018 Daytona 500. Ironically, 20 years after Dale Earnhardt Jr. took that number 3 Chevrolet to the Daytona 500 victory lane for the first time. They did make the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 1 win, 2 top 5s, and 8 top 10s, finishing 13th in final Cup Series points. Ryan Newman returned to the number 31 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 2nd in Atlanta in the spring. His best finish was 6th at Loudon in the summer. They did not make the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 9 top 10 finishes, finishing 17th in final Cup Series points. Daniel Hemrick made 2 starts in the number 8 Smoky Mountain Herbal Snuff Chevrolet. His best finish was 23rd at the Roval in the fall. The Xfinity Series side of the operation had 3 full-time entries in 2018. Matt Tifft became the new driver of the number 2 Surface Sunscreen Tunity Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st at Elkhart Lake in the fall. His best finish was 2nd, also at Elkhart Lake in the fall. Randall Burnett served as Tipp's crew chief for 2018, and they did make the playoffs. Overall, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 6 top 5s, and 19 top 10s, finishing 6th in final Xfinity Series point standings. 5 different drivers made starts behind the wheel of the number 3 Chevrolet. Austin Dillon made 6 starts. His best finish was 1st in Michigan in the spring. Overall, in 6 starts, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 2 top 5s, and 3 top 10s. Ty Dillon made 8 starts. His best finish was 4th at Charlotte in the spring. Shane Lee made 13 starts. His best finish was 4th at Kansas in the fall. Overall, in 13 starts, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 3 top 10s. Jeb Burton made 3 starts. His best finish was 12th twice at Richmond and Dover in the spring. Brendan Gaughan made 3 starts. His best finish was 12th in Mid-Ohio in the fall. Overall, the number 3 team scored 0 poles, 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 12th in final Xfinity Series owner points. Daniel Hemrick returned to the number 21 South Point Casino Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st 4 times at Daytona and Talladega in the spring, then Dover and Kansas in the fall. His best finish was 2nd 4 times at Michigan in the spring, Kentucky in the summer, then Kansas and Phoenix in the fall. They easily made the playoffs, overall scoring 4 poles, 0 wins, 16 top 5s, and 23 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Xfinity Series points. Next up, in 2019, the team celebrated 50 years as an active team. RCR had 2 full-time teams and 1 part-time team in the NASCAR Cup Series. Austin Dillon, like always, returned to his familiar number 3 Dow American Ethanol Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st 3 times at California and Talladega in the spring, and then Chicagoland in the summer. His best finish was 6th twice at Richmond in the spring, then Talladega in the fall. They did not make the playoffs. Overall, they scored 3 poles, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 21st in final Cup Series points. Daniel Hemrick was the new driver of the number 8 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st at Kansas in the fall, and his best finish was 5th at Talladega in the spring. Luke Lambert served as Hemrick's crew chief in 2019. They missed the playoffs, overall scoring 1 pole, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 2 top 10s, finishing 25th in final Cup Series points. Tyler Reddick made 2 starts in the number 31 Chevrolet. His best finish was 9th at Kansas in the spring. Back in the Xfinity Series, RCR fielded 1 full-time and 1 part-time entry. Tyler Reddick became the new driver of the number 2 Tame to Be Chevrolet full-time. His best start was 1st 5 times at both Daytona races, California in the spring, then Texas and Homestead in the fall. His best finish was 1st 6 times at Talladega, Charlotte, and Michigan in the spring, Bristol, Las Vegas, and Homestead in the fall. Randall Burnett served as Reddick's crew chief for 2019. Overall, he scored 5 poles, 6 wins, 24 top 5s, and 27 top 10s, winning the 2019 Xfinity Series Championship for the second year in a row, and for the first time a driver has ever won back-to-back championships driving for 2 different teams. Another brand new decade, the 2020s. For the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series season, RCR fielded 2 full-time entries. Austin Dillon in his familiar number 3 Dow Chevrolet full-time. His best start was second at Pocono in the spring. His best finish was first at Texas in the summer. They did qualify for the playoffs. Overall scoring 0 poles, 1 win, 4 top 5s, and 9 top 10s, finishing 11th in final Cup Series points. Tyler Reddick became the new driver of the number 8 Caterpillar Chevrolet full-time. His best start was third at Michigan in the summer. His best finish was second at Texas in the summer. Randall Burnett served as Reddick's crew chief for 2020. They missed the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 3 top 5s, and 9 top 10s, finishing 19th in final Cup Series points. In the Xfinity Series, the team only had 1 full-time entry. 4 different drivers made starts in the number 21 Chevrolet. Myatt Snider made 8 starts. His best start was first at Daytona in the spring. His best finish was 4th at Pocono. Overall, in 8 starts, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 3 top 10s. Anthony Alfredo made 19 starts. His best finish was 3rd at Texas in the fall. Overall, in 19 starts, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 9 top 10s. Kaz Grala made 5 starts. His best finish was 9th twice at both Richmond races. Earl Bamber made 1 start at Daytona in the summer, finishing 33rd. Overall, the number 21 team scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 14 top 10s, finishing 11th in final Xfinity Series owner points. In 2021, RCR had 2 full-time entries in the NASCAR Cup Series. Austin Dillon would return to the number 3 Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet. His best start was 3rd at the Daytona Road Course in the spring, and his best finish was 3rd at Daytona in the spring. They did not make the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 8 top 10s, finishing 17th in final Cup Series points. Tyler Reddick returned to the number 8 Cheddar Chevrolet. His best start was 1st at Austin in the spring. His best finish was 2nd twice at Homestead in the spring and the Roval in the fall. They did in fact make the playoffs, overall scoring 1 pole, 0 wins, 3 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 13th in final Cup Series points. Back down in the Xfinity Series, the team only had 1 full-time entry. Myatt Snider became the driver of the number 2 Tax Slayer Chevrolet. His best start was 1st at Las Vegas in the spring, and his best finish was 1st at Homestead in the spring. Andy Street served as crew chief for Snider in 2021. They did qualify for the playoffs, overall scoring 1 pole, 1 win, 1 top 5, and 11 top 10s, finishing 9th in final Xfinity Series points. For 2022, Childress had 2 full-time and 1 part-time teams in the NASCAR Cup Series. Austin Dillon piloted the number 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. His best start was 7th at Texas in the fall. His best finish was 1st at Daytona in the fall. They did qualify for the playoffs. Overall, he scored 0 poles, 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 11 top 10s, finishing 11th in final Cup Series points. Tyler Reddick returned to the number 8 3CHI Chevrolet. His best start was 1st 3 times at Indianapolis GP in the summer, Kansas, and Las Vegas in the fall. His best finish was 1st 3 times at Elkhart Lake and Indianapolis GP in the summer, and Texas in the fall. They did make the playoffs, overall scoring 3 poles, 3 wins, 10 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, finishing 14th in final Cup Series points. Austin Hill made 1 start at Michigan in the number 33 Chevrolet, finishing 18th. In the Xfinity Series, they fielded 2 full-time entries and 1 part-time entry. Sheldon Creed was the new driver of the number 2 Whalen Chevrolet. His best start was 2nd at Martinsville in the fall, and his best finish was 2nd twice at Darlington and Martinsville in the fall. Jeff Stankiewicz served as Creed's crew chief for 2022. They missed the playoffs, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 14th and final Xfinity Series points. Austin Hill became the new driver of the number 21 Bennett Transportation Chevrolet. His best start was first at Talladega in the fall, and his best finish was first twice at Daytona in the spring, then Atlanta in the summer. Andy Street served as Hill's crew chief starting in 2022. They did qualify for the playoffs, overall scoring 1 pole, 2 wins, 11 top 5s, and 21 top 10s, finishing 6th in final Xfinity Series points. Jeffrey Earnhardt made 1 start in a number 3 Chevrolet at Talladega in the spring, starting first and finishing second. Even having Larry Reynolds return to RCR to serve as his crew chief. At the conclusion of the season, Tyler Reddick and RCR parted ways. With Kyle Busch leaving Joe Gibbs Racing after 15 seasons, some were surprised when the news broke that he would indeed take over the number 8 Chevrolet for 2023. And indeed, he did. Childress would have 2 full-time teams and 1 part-time team in the NASCAR Cup Series for 2023. Austin Dillon returned to that number 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. His best start was second at Bristol Dirt in the spring, and his best finish was third, also at Bristol Dirt in the spring. Keith Rodden served as Dillon's crew chief in 2023. They missed the playoffs by a significant margin, overall scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 1 top 5, and 7 top 10s, finishing 29th in final Cup Series points. Kyle Busch became the new driver of the number 8 3CHI Cheddar's Levino Chevrolet. His best start was first twice at Dover and Gateway in the spring. His best finish was first 3 times at California, Talladega, and Gateway in the spring. Randall Burnett served as Busch's crew chief in 2023. They did make the playoffs. Overall, he scored 2 poles, 3 wins, 10 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, finishing 14th in final Cup Series point standings. Brody Kostecki made 1 start at the Indianapolis Grand Prix in the summer, in the number 33 Chevrolet, finishing 22nd. As for the Xfinity Series side of the operation, the team fielded 2 full-time entries and 1 part-time entry. Sheldon Creed returned to the number 2 Wayland Chevrolet. His best start was first at Portland in the spring, and his best finish was second 5 times at Talladega in the spring, then Watkins Glen, Daytona, Martinsville, and Phoenix in the fall. They did make the playoffs, overall scoring 1 pole, 0 wins, 7 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, finishing 7th in final Xfinity Series points. There was some drama between Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill, especially when Creed took out Austin Hill while battling for the lead at the second-to-last race at Martinsville. Even still, Creed finished second that race. Austin Hill returned to the number 21 Bennett Transportation Chevrolet. His best start was first 4 times at both Daytona races, California and Talladega in the spring. His best finish was first 4 times at Daytona, Las Vegas, and Atlanta in the spring, then Pocono in the summer. They did qualify for the playoffs, overall scoring 4 poles, 4 wins, 16 top 5s, and 24 top 10s, finishing 5th in final Xfinity Series points. Ty Dillon made 2 starts in the number 3 Chevrolet. His best finish was 14th at Pocono in the summer. Finally, on to the current 2024 season. And RCR fielded 2 full-time and 1 part-time entries so far in the NASCAR Cup Series season. Austin Dillon returned to the number 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. His best start so far has been 5th at Talladega in the spring. His best finish so far has been first at Richmond in the fall. Dillon's Richmond victory was encumbered, meaning the win counts in the record books, and the driver keeps the trophy, but does not qualify for the playoffs, along with NASCAR docking Dillon 25 driver points. So far, overall, he has scored 0 poles, 1 win, 1 top 5, and 3 top 10s. Kyle Busch returned to the number 8 Zone Chevrolet. His best start so far is first at Dover in the spring, and his best finish so far is second twice at Daytona and Darlington in the fall. They did not make the playoffs. So far, overall, scoring 1 pole, 0 wins, 5 top 5s, and 9 top 10s. 3 different drivers made starts in the number 33 Chevrolet so far. Austin Hill has made 4 starts. His best finish was 25th at Daytona in the fall. Will Brown made 1 start at Sonoma in the summer, finishing 31st. Ty Dillon made 1 start at Indianapolis, finishing 19th. In the Xfinity Series, the team had 2 full-time teams and 1 part-time entry. Jesse Love became the new driver of the number 2 Whelen Chevrolet. His best start has been first 3 times so far, at Daytona, Atlanta, and Texas in the spring. His best finish so far has been first at Talladega in the spring. Overall, so far he scored 3 poles, 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. Austin Hill returned to the number 21 Bennett Transportation Chevrolet. His best start so far is first at Talladega in the spring, and his best finish so far has been first twice at Daytona and Atlanta in the spring. Overall, so far he scored 1 pole, 2 wins, 8 top 5s, and 14 top 10s. Kyle Busch has made 1 start so far at Charlotte in the spring, finishing 6th. So, in 3,342 NASCAR Cup Series starts, the team has scored 57 poles, 117 wins, 532 top 5s, and 1,181 top 10s, with the best points finish of first 6 times, in 1986, 1987, 1990, 1991, 1993, and 1994. Then, in 1,898 Xfinity Series starts, the team has scored 88 poles, 95 wins, 547 top 5s, and 1,024 top 10s, with the best points finish of first 5 times, in 2001, and 2006, and 2008, 2013, and 2019. RCR has also made 322 Craftsman Truck Series starts, scoring 37 poles, 31 wins, 124 top 5s, and 198 top 10s, with the best points finish of first twice, in 1995 and 2011. Thank you so much for watching this, the longest video by far that I've ever released. I hope you've enjoyed it, and take care.